What would you do if the person you loved most dragged you into a room full of people who despised you? That was the question gnawing at me as I stood outside La Belle Époque, the upscale restaurant where my fiancée, Clara, had insisted we dine with her old college friends. I'd met them once before, a clique of polished, sharp-tongued elitists who treated me like a stain on their pristine world. Clara swore they'd warm up to me this time. I wasn't so sure. But love makes you do foolish things, so I straightened my blazer, took a deep breath, and stepped inside. The restaurant glowed with amber light, chandeliers casting a warm sheen over mahogany tables. Clara was already there, radiant in an emerald dress, her smile a beacon amidst the clinking glasses and murmured conversations. She waved me over to a table where a friend sat, their eyes scanning me like hawks sizing up prey. There was Vanessa, the ringleader, with her perfectly manicured nails and a smirk that could cut glass. Beside her was Derek, a hedge fund bro who never missed a chance to flaunt his wealth. And then there was Lila, whose passive-aggressive compliments always felt like knives wrapped in silk. Clara squeezed my hand under the table, her touch a silent plea. Please, just try. The dinner started as I'd feared. Vanessa leaned forward, her voice dripping with condescension. So, Ethan, still working that quaint little tech startup? How's that going? Her friends chuckled, and I felt Clara tense beside me. I forced a smile, explaining my work on sustainable software solutions, but their eyes glazed over. Derek launched into a monologue about his latest yacht purchase, while Lila chimed in with a backhanded remark about how brave I was to pursue such a risky career. Clara laughed along, trying to keep the peace, but I could see the strain in her eyes. These were her friends, her history. She wanted them to love me as much as she did. But they didn't. They never would. I tried to stay calm, sipping my wine, nodding politely. But every jab, every subtle dig, felt like a pebble piling onto a crumbling dam. I wasn't just an outsider to them. I was a threat to their carefully curated world of privilege and perfection. Clara's hand rested on mine, but it wasn't enough to drown out the venom. I wanted to leave, to grab her and walk out, but I loved her too much to make a scene. Or so I thought. Then came a twist I didn't see coming. As Vanessa launched into another story about her glamorous life, the restaurant's double doors swung open, and a new figure strode in. It was Marcus, a mutual friend from college I hadn't seen in years. Broad-shouldered, with a disarming grin and a knack for defusing tension, he was the kind of guy who could charm a room without trying. Clara's face lit up, and even her friend seemed momentarily thrown off balance. Marcus spotted us, waved, and made a beeline for our table. "Ethan, Clara, mind if I join the party?" he asked, already pulling up a chair. I hadn't invited him. Clara hadn't either. But there he was, a wild card in a night that felt like a losing game. Marcus's presence shifted the dynamic. He was effortlessly charismatic, tossing witty remarks that made even Vanessa laugh. For a moment, I thought he might be my salvation, a buffer against the toxicity. But then he leaned toward me, his voice low. "Heard you were dining with the Vipers tonight," he whispered, his eyes glinting with mischief. "Don't let them get to you, man. You're better than this." His words hit like a spark. He was right. I didn't have to sit here and take it. But what could I do without ruining everything for Clara? The dinner dragged on, and the barbs kept coming. Derek made a snide comment about my second-hand blazer, and Lila, jokingly, asked if Clara was slumming it by dating me. Clara's laughter grew forced, her grip on my hand tightening. I could feel the weight of her expectations, her desperate hope that I'd win them over. But I was done playing their game. Marcus's words echoed in my mind, and a plan began to form, a reckless, audacious plan that could either save the night or burn it to the ground. I excused myself, claiming I needed to make a quick call. Instead, I slipped over to the restaurant's manager, a kind-eyed woman named Elise who'd been watching our table with quiet sympathy. I explained my idea, and to my surprise, she grinned. "Let's make it happen," she said. I returned to the table, my heart pounding, but my resolve firm. Clara shot me a worried glance, but I gave her a reassuring nod. This was for her, for us, for the life we were building together. As dessert was served, Elise approached our table with a tray of extra wine glasses. "Compliments of the gentleman," she said, gesturing to me. Vanessa raised an eyebrow, clearly expecting some cheap gesture. But then Elise began pouring not wine, but stories. She shared how my startup had donated software to local schools, helping kids in underserved communities learn to code. She talked about the late nights I'd spent mentoring young entrepreneurs, giving them hope for a future they could barely imagine. Clara's eyes widened, and for the first time that night, her friends were silent. Then came the real surprise. Elise handed out small envelopes to everyone at the table, including Marcus, who looked as puzzled as the rest. Inside each was a handwritten note from me, tailored to each person. To Vanessa, I wrote about resilience, acknowledging her drive, but urging her to lift others up instead of tearing them down. To Derek, I spoke of true wealth kindness, not cash. To Lila, I offered a gentle challenge to see people for who they are, not what they lack. And to Clara, I poured out my heart, promising to fight for us no matter the odds. The table fell quiet. Vanessa's smirk faded, replaced by something unreadable. Derek fidgeted, his bravado gone. Lila's eyes glistened, and she quickly looked away. Clara clutched my hand, tears welling as she read her note. Marcus, ever the showman, raised his glass. "To Ethan," he said, "for reminding us what really matters." To my shock, the others joined in, their voices hesitant but genuine. The rest of the night wasn't perfect. Vanessa didn't suddenly become my best friend, and Derek still flexed his ego. But something had shifted. They saw me, really saw me for the first time. Clara leaned close, whispering, "I'm so proud of you." And in that moment, I knew I'd done something unforgettable not just for her friends, but for us. As we left the restaurant, Marcus clapped me on the shoulder. "You're a madman, Ethan," he said, grinning. "But damn, you pulled it off." I laughed, feeling lighter than I had all night. Clara slipped her arm through mine, her smile brighter than the city lights around us. I'd faced the vipers, not with anger or spite, but with something stronger: truth, heart, and a touch of audacity. And that, I realized, was a victory worth celebrating.